Today, this morning, some actor friends and I read through the Shakespeare play Cymbeline, which is the fourth least performed Shakespeare play, at least in the UK, or it's the Shakespeare play that fourth fewest people have seen. I think for this one, I'm just going to do a plot summary because there's really not much more to this one other than the plot. Also, the plot summary is going to take a while. You're almost certainly going to get confused, and I'm almost certainly going to mess up the names at some point, but I'm going to try. So, Cymbeline is the king of Britain during the Roman Empire. Before the play starts, long before the play starts, he accuses one of his courtiers, Belarius, of being a traitor. Belarius, in a fit of pique, steals Cymbeline's two sons and accosts with them, flies with them, and they're never seen again, and no one knows where they are. Cymbeline is left with only his daughter Imogen. In the interim, between that and the start of the play, Cymbeline sort of takes in a commoner into his court called Posthumus Leonatus. Incidentally, it's never explained why he's called Posthumus. He's not dead. He's not a zombie. I have no clue. At one point, someone thinks he's dead, but he's not, and it's so stupid. Anyway, Cymbeline takes Posthumus into his court and raises him like alongside Imogen, Cymbeline's daughter. Also, Cymbeline gets married to a woman who's only ever called the Queen in the play. The Queen has a son called Cloten. The Queen and Cloten are evil. That will come up later. Imogen falls in love with Posthumus and wants to marry him. I think that they do get married, and then Cymbeline is really upset at this. He hates it because now that Cymbeline's two sons are gone, Cymbeline needs to have a male heir who is completely of noble birth. So he needs Imogen to marry a noble so that she can have a son and continue the line. But Imogen has married a commoner, Posthumus. Cymbeline, angered about this, banishes Posthumus to Rome. In the meantime, the Queen, seeing that Cloten is getting nowhere, constantly trying to get with Imogen, the Queen's like, maybe I'll just kill her instead, and then Cloten will be the king's only heir. So she goes to Cornelius to get poison. This apparently is not unusual. I'm not kidding, this is a line. It's like, she often poisons cats. She just loves poisoning things. So she goes to Cornelius, is like, I need some more poison for the cats. And Cornelius is like, this time I don't trust you. I'm not going to give you poison. I'm going to give you this tonic that seems like a poison. It'll make it seem like someone's dead, but they're not. And then the Queen gives that to Imogen's servant, Pisanio. Pisanio doesn't trust the Queen. Remember this later. So anyway, Posthumus is in Rome talking to Giacomo, who is a Roman. And Giacomo is like, I don't think your wife is as faithful as you say. I don't think she is as virtuous as you say. And Posthumus is like, you want to bet? And apparently Posthumus does want to bet. They place a bet on Imogen's virtue. So then Giacomo travels to Britain and tries to seduce Imogen. It doesn't work. So then Giacomo hides in a chest that gets taken into Imogen's room, comes out of the chest while she's sleeping, looks around her room, notes all the details, and then also looks at her while she's naked and spots like a birthmark that she has on her breast, and then leaves. Giacomo goes back to Rome, tells Posthumus about all the details of Imogen's room and the mark on her breast. He also has like a ring that she promised never to take off that Posthumus gave her, but the other stuff is really what convinces him. And so Posthumus is like, she cheated on me. So then he writes a letter to Pisanio, who you will remember is Imogen's servant, and he's like, kill her, she's unfaithful. And Pisanio who thinks there's been some sort of skullduggery, is like, I'm not going to do that. So instead, he takes Imogen to this random cave in Wales. And Imogen thinks he's going to kill her. He's not. Instead, he's like, dress up like a man and you'll be reported missing from court. And that will get the word back to Posthumus, and Posthumus will be like, yeah, she's dead. It happened. And also that'll mean the queen will stop trying to kill you, which I think Pisanio knows about that by this point. Again, remember that. And then Pisanio goes back to the court from whence Imogen is missing, but Cloten intercepts him, and Cloten's like, I don't think she's dead. Tell me where she is. And then Pisanio just tells him exactly where she is. Like he's like, oh, I think something bad will happen to him, but I don't. Maybe he gives a better reason than that. I don't remember him giving a very good reason for just giving her up. He's like, yeah, she's going to this random cave in Wales. Have at you. Oh, also, previous to this, when Imogen was turning down Cloten, she's like, I hate you. You're less than my husband's worst garment. And so, Cloten decides that he is going to go to this cave in Wales and force himself on Imogen while wearing Posthumus's worst garment. You might notice a plot point being set up. You're right. So, Imogen, now dressed like a dude so that no one notices she's the missing princess. Okay, there must just be one cave in Wales, because the cave that Imogen is left at is also the cave where Belarius, the guy from the beginning who was called a traitor and who stole the 2 babies, took the 2 babies to and raised these 2 babies as his own. And the 2 babies think they're his son. And the 2 babies are actually Cymbeline's 2 sons and the real heirs to the throne of England. But they don't know that. They think they're just some random Welsh weirdos. But their natural Englishness shines through. Their natural nobility shines through in the play. Like, Belarius says, like, no one could ever could mistake them for just, like, random Welsh guys. You know, it's just so obvious that they're noble. Anyway, they come across Imogen dressed as a boy. She calls herself Fidel because that's her trait. She's loyal. That's what she does. And they immediately take to her. It's meant to be like they immediately recognize her as her sister. Honestly, comes across as a little gay. These 2 guys are like, wow, I really like this what they think is a guy. They're like, oh, he's cool. Wow, I'm just so into him. I wonder why. Anyway, Cloten comes to the cave and is beheaded by one of the brothers, by one of Cymbeline's 2 sons, who are called, oh my god, they're called Arvigarius and I genuinely can't, but no, I can't remember the other one's name. Anyway, they have Welsh names which are easier to say, so anyway, it's really stupid. Anyway, Imogen doesn't see Cloten, but Imogen doesn't see Cloten. Imogen's just so overwhelmed that she decides to take what she thinks is this tonic that will help her sleep, but that the queen thinks is a deadly poison, but that is actually something that acts like a poison, so it makes you seem dead for a while, but actually it just helps you sleep. She takes this and obviously is mistaken for dead. And then while she is in the sleep caused by the potion tonic thing, Cloten arrives and is beheaded. And the 3 guys in the cave, the courtier and the 2 stolen sons, are like, let's just bury them next to each other, because in death all are equal, blah, blah, blah. Imogen awakes to see Cloten's beheaded body and is like, because he's wearing Posthumus's clothes, she's like, no, Posthumus, he got his head cut off and he's dead, oh, woe is me. And then, as I said, this being the only cave in all of Wales, this is also the cave where the Roman army arrived. Because, by the way, there's this other subplot I didn't mention, wherein Cymbeline is not paying tribute to Rome properly, so the Roman army are going to invade. And they do. And Cymbeline doesn't even care, really, because he's so upset about how many people are missing from his court. Because, like, his son-in-law is missing, and his daughter are missing, and also, you know, in the broader sense, his two sons are missing, but I think he's mostly over that by now. Anyway, the Roman army converge on this one cave, the only cave where anything ever happens, and Fidel, who is Imogen as Fidel, decides to go along with the Romans because I guess she needs protection. Okay. A massive battle ensues between the Roman forces and the British forces. The courtier and Cymbeline's two kidnapped sons are fighting on the British side, and they're really cool, and they're really good at fighting, and they do a lot of good stuff, and they save a lot of people, and they save Cymbeline at one point. Giacomo, the guy who had the bet with Posthumus and lied about it, is on the Roman side. Oh, as is Posthumus. Posthumus is also in the Roman army, because remember, he was banished to Rome. And he's there, and he's like, oh, I hate life, because my wife cheated on me, and then I had her killed. Oh, woe is me. Remember, he thinks that she's dead. Oh my god. Anyway, it ends up... Act 5. Oh my god, Act 5 of Cymbeline is one of the funniest things I have ever... I had so much fun today reading through Act 5 with my friends, having read the stupid fucking play before it, where just every plot point is revealed to everyone, with people just coming forward and confessing to everything they've done in the last... up to like 20 years in Belarius's case. Belarius is like, it's me, the guy who stole your babies. But remember, it's because you said I was a traitor and I wasn't, so it's really your fault. And Cymbeline's like, yeah, I get that. Like, and it has a happy ending. It, against all odds, it has a happy ending because every single twist is revealed. The queen dies. The queen dies off stage, but not before just confirming that she is behind every bad thing that has ever happened in the universe. And I'm not kidding, lamenting that she hadn't been more evil. She wished she had done worse. She wished she had hurt more people. And with her dying breath, she confesses everything. But luckily, it's not just one person who hears this. There are 3 people who hear this. So they could all independently confirm, yeah, the queen was behind everything. Everything ever was her fault. And also, apparently, she was the one persuading Cymbeline to not pay proper tribute to Rome. So he's like, I can pay proper tribute now. Even though Britain won the fight against the Romans, they won the battle. They're still like, we'll pay proper tribute. It's fine. We'll be a vassal state or whatever. And everything has a happy ending because Arvagarius and whatever his name is are restored to the throne. So Imogen can marry Posthumus, even though Posthumus tried to kill her. Posthumus thought she was unfaithful, so he tried to kill her. And she's like, no biggie, whatever. Also, oh my god, while Imogen is still in drag as a man, she runs up to embrace Posthumus, who, remember, she thought was dead, and he, like, throws her to the floor, and everyone thinks she's dead again for a second. Everyone's like, you just killed your wife twice, you moron. It's so stupid, but it's kind of wonderful because it's like an episode of Jerry Springer or like Dynasty or something. It's just all these confessions, one after the other, just like, oh yeah, no, I did that. Oh, I did. It's so funny, but it's so pointless because the audience knows all of this. The audience knows why everything happened in sequence. Like, it's so stupid. But it's kind of great. It's kind of wonderful. I don't think I missed anything major in the plot summary, but honestly, I might have because there's so much plot. Like, when I talked about Pericles is very contrived. It's super, it's just like things just happen. Cymbeline is more convoluted, as in technically everything has an explanation. It's just, the explanations are so weird and silly and just just at cross purposes. And I honestly, I kind of think some of it is a bit clever. Like, I kind of think the thing of Cloten going to attack. I'm gonna say attack. I'm gonna use a euphemism. Sorry, attacking is not what he has on his mind. I do understand that. He goes to attack Imogen, wearing wearing Posthumous's clothes because he's specifically compared to some of Posthumous's clothes. He's like, I'll attack you in those clothes. And then he gets his head cut off, so she's like, Posthumus is dead. That's kind of clever. However, that doesn't really lead to anything, because that's not what leads to her taking the poison, for example. It's not a Romeo and Juliet thing where she thinks he's dead, so she takes the poison. It's just, she just wakes up and thinks he's dead for a while, and then she finds out he's not, and then he throws her on the floor. It's so silly. It's so silly. So I read one theory that it's someone thinks that this is Shakespeare parodying himself. This is Shakespeare being like, oh, I'm gonna dress as a boy for no reason. Oh, the evil queen with weird motives. And oh look, these random two guys you met are actually your brothers. And I can almost believe that. It's so silly. It really is. And the thing is, I think if you played it straight, it would just be kind of tedious, especially Act 5. Like, it's tedious is maybe the wrong word, because there's always something happening. There's a lot of plot. There is an awful lot of plot. But it just, it all just feels so weightless because there's just so much happening and just so little of it is kind of given proper emotional weight. Like, Cymbeline is mad that his children are gone because he doesn't have a male heir. He's not like, wow, it really sucks that my 2 children were kidnapped and I'll never see them again. And then at the end, when he confronts Belarius, he's like, well, I deserved it. I'm a prat. It's amazing. Also, Belarius, because I would have thought that you'd try and tie the things together. So it would have been like Belarius saw through the queen being evil and tried to warn Cymbeline about that, and then Cymbeline didn't like that and so banished him. That's not what happens, incidentally. That he's banished for an entirely different reason. That is the one bad thing that was not the queen's decision. The queen is behind every other bad choice anyone makes in any context, but no, that one was just Cymbeline. I think it's almost like a farce. It really is. Just if you just add in some pratfalls, you'd have a pretty good farce with Cymbeline. Frankly, if the dialogue was a bit funnier, yeah, I think you could have a pretty funny play. There's one bit where Posthumus is about to be killed and he's talking to his jailer, and it's very like the Porter scene. You know how there's all those theories about Shakespeare's cast and crew and the people he was writing for. I feel that the jailer is written for the same person who would have played the porter in the Porter scene, because it's just the exact same thing of you just hear this random ass person's this rando's opinions on things for a while. He just monologues and just talks, and I think it's meant to be funny, and then he's never seen again. It's quite fun. Actually, it is kind of funny, the jailer scene, because he's, in my mind, he's clearly hungover because he's about to kill someone, and the guy's like, oh, let me die, and then the guy's like, yeah, I wish I were dead so I never had to pay another bar tab, because you just wake up and you have less money and your head hurts. Also, I have a toothache. He literally is like, also, I have a toothache. Kind of funny. That would be me if I worked on death row. I'd be like, well, you think you have problems. Other funny lines. There is a scene where a fight between Cloten and someone else is being described, and they just randomly interject puppies, because puppy used to mean a hot-headed young man. It doesn't anymore. You might know. So they're just like, they were hitting each other. Puppies. That's pretty funny. Yeah. Final thought. This place should not be called Cymbeline. Cymbeline does nothing. Cymbeline just I mean, he is an idiot, but that's not like a character flaw that he overcomes. I think he's still an idiot at the end of the play. He just has his sons back through absolutely no action of his own. Cymbeline is not the main focus of the play. One of my friends suggested it should, in fact, be called Imogen. I think it should just be called, yeah, and then that happened. Why not?